How's it going, everybody? My name is Tyler, aka Aken, and you are watching Quick Chat, the casual gaming podcast. Tonight, I got with me one of two co-hosts. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is also Tyler, aka Turbo. So you're dealing with TNT tonight.
It's about to be dynamite, man. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about events, conventions, and what that really means. Some differences that the casual viewer might not know, or people who are just getting into gaming might not be aware of. So the first thing I want to preference is there are actually a couple different types of events. I know at a glance, a lot of people are going to think that Comic Con is representative of the gaming convention as a whole, but it really isn't. There are several conventions that are aimed at the consumer. So your Comic Cons where you're meeting a bunch of people and you're also like getting insights into the up and coming stuff. That's cool. That's kind of the same for Blizzard's conventions, which we've talked about on this channel before, and also games done quick. So at Blizzard, you're going to see a lot of developers say, hey, that game you liked, we're making a second one, or here's a big update for it, and everybody gets hyped. In Games Done Quick's case, it says, hey, you play video games, watch a bunch of people play video games way better than you. And that's also cool. But there are also many conventions like FMX and LA Games Conference, which are aimed at the creators and the developers, the people behind the games. So if you're in your third year of computer science and you need an internship, you would be more likely to go to FMX or LA Games Conference and try to network with some people. Try to find even an indie game company and get an internship and make some waves. Tyler, have you ever been to a games conference?
Actually, I have not, but I have definitely looked into the ones coming up that are online now.
Nice. So I went to a couple very small ones. One in my hometown of Fresno, California, and one in Dallas, Texas, which was actually a Comic Con. And it was super fun. It was really cool. Again, those were aimed more at the consumer. Buy merch and check out your favorite streamers, that kind of stuff. But I've always been very curious at checking out the in-depth talks from the devs and things like the LA Games Conference, which is coming up, by the way, which is why we're talking about it, May 10th to 12th. I believe tickets start from $199. Kind of a hefty fee. Not very much, if we're being honest, in the way of conventions. They're usually pretty expensive, and it's just because of accommodations. They're renting out a convention center usually, um, or
X.
or a like a college campus or something. So yeah, there was a there was a convention that happened over the weekend
Mm,
that Tyler and I participated in,
mm,
if you can call it that. We're gonna throw a
I
little bit of
wouldn't call
shade
it
here.
participating.
We're gonna throw a little bit of shade here. Do you want to
Sorry,
tell them
guys.
what it was? You want to tell them what it was?
Not really.
Oh my god, I'm
It
dying.
was it was pretty much like you downloaded it. It's honestly not what you would think. It was essentially you download the game. If you went through the tutorial, it just showed you how to move around and basically just it's not really a game, but they made it seem like it was a game. And then you get on a boat because you're a pirate, and you just sail to each island, and on each island it'll just bring you to the people's YouTube channels. And you just watch YouTube, essentially. Like you couldn't communicate with the inventor or anything like that, like you normally would with a conference.
Or people?
So technically, it wasn't a conference because it's a solo
It was a,
game, but it's a game
it
where
was a
you
single.
just
It was a single player advertisement adventure. That's what it was.
it was just
So
weird.
so so no hate, but the name of the convention was IWOCon, IWOCON, and their advertisement was basically like, hey, we want to have a virtual conference where you can get together and you can watch a bunch of indie games and you can check out all these creators. But what it really was a
You could watch. the creators, but you
Oh,
couldn't communicate with other gamers.
right, and so it was kind of advertised in a fishy way where they were trying to make it seem like it was multiplayer. It wasn't. You couldn't talk to anybody. There were no servers. It was all just you playing by yourself on your PC, with a pirate theme skin for some reason. But I do want to talk about a different one that took a different approach. And that was GameCon Online. Now, unfortunately, it passed and I was not able to participate in it. I talked to a couple people and they said that was more the approach that they were looking for. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about what that was. So it was the world's first gaming convention with a fully fledged virtual MMO. So that means massive multiplayer online. MMO, massively multiplayer online. So that means that it's not just like 10 people playing online, but like 10,000. Um, so they went a completely different direction. They tried to make a game where they showed off the other games in a way that was more of a conference. But Austin brought up this good point. Austin's sick, so he's not joining us for this podcast, but he had a little bit of insight on the subject he wanted to talk about, so I'll share that for him now. Um, he was bothered by the limitations. You're doing a virtual conference. Literally, you're making a video game to showcase other video games. Anything is possible. And how linear and how limited everything was that they just tried to make it some passable physical event. Kind of peeved him a bit. He wanted there to be much more in depth, like having different zones and different areas that were indicative of the games that you were trying to showcase and stuff that was, kind of thought out a little bit more. It seems like these were all in a rush to get a summer and a spring conference on, because those are some of our biggest ones, rather than trying to give a good experience to the consumers. So that's kind of sad. Let's talk. I told you that there was a difference. We've talked a bit about the consumers, and what goes on in that one. And if you want more on that, one of our last podcasts will show that as well. Talks about BlizzCon Online and games done quick. Now we're going to take a look at the harder side, the creator side, the developer side. So let's start with LA Games Conference. What the heck is it? Sounds cool. Sounds prestigious. So I'm going to read a couple keynotes here. You are going to have conversations from some of the top people in their fields. I'm going to mention a couple of these people here. They're not going to mean anything to you and I, the casual person, but I'll just tell you what company they work for, and you can assume whether or not that's a big company or not. Chris Heatherly, he's a games executive, former NBCU and Disney. Those are big companies, in case you were wondering. Yes, Disney does have video games. They have a lot of them. Kingdom Hearts is one of their series.
Love it.
Yep, Tyler loves it. Let's go. What about this? Susanna Pollock. She's the president of Games for Change. That's a really cool partnership kind of deal. Then we have, let's see here. Phil Ronta, the COO of Wormhole Labs. Forgive me what I did. This one guy, I want to read out her title because it's fantastically amazing. Francisca Phillips, head of Global Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging for Jam City. That's dope. That's an awesome title. Now, what are you going to be getting from them? Keynote conversations. They're going to talk to you. They're going to really give some insight on what the industry is, how it functions, why it is the way that it is, and how you can exist within it, and how you can succeed within it. A view from the top is their little category they've got here, and basically 2021 overall state of the industry is what they're kind of going to talk about. So they're going to tell you, like, what are the trends? What's up right now? What do you need to be focusing on as a creator, as a brander, as an influencer, as a marketer? Investing in the games ecosystem. So in putting money into games is not just make a game, sell the game, make money. Some games are made to be played competitively. So you want organizations with gigantic followings who have made millions and millions and millions of dollars. You can go check out one of our first podcasts. I believe it is our first podcast for a little more info on that. Um, Diversity and inclusion in the games industry. We've hit a point now where finally we're starting to respect other people. We're seeing more women in video games, more ethnicities in video games, because it is not just white kids from suburbia that play video games. Trust and believe that. Also, Games Done Quick does a lot to promote the trans community, and so we love you guys, any and all, man. Anybody that wants to play a game is good with me. Gaming in the metaverse. This is a little more niche. When you talk about meta, there's a couple different things that people kind of string to. So that's not really aimed at a casual demographic, but neither is this conference. Um, Creating blockbusters. So here's an idea of how to create a AAA title. What are people playing? What are people looking for? But then how do you make something different enough that stands out, familiar enough that people want to play it because it seems like something they've played before, with a new experience, or an experience that is entirely of its own, that it doesn't feel like you're just rehashing somebody else's idea. The growth of mobile games. We talked about mobile games versus console games, and we will be doing a full segment on that this week, more than likely. Um, the next wave for esports, as I was talking about, organizations coming in and pumping millions and millions and millions of dollars into branding players for competitive games. Like, so and so plays for Team Liquid. Watch him stream. He's really good. Here's all this hype. Here's all this money. Playing for hundreds of thousands to millions, tens of millions of dollars for some of these competitions. And a whole heck of a lot more that they've got listed there. So that's on the side of the developer system. Now, Tyler, would any of this be interesting for you as, like, somebody who's more on the side of engineering than somebody like me?
Yeah, like the fact that like I learned a lot of freaking coding and crap. But I've honestly thought about going into game development and looking into it and possibly looking at that as a job.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It would be a pretty fulfilling job, I'm not gonna lie. Pretty hard, but pretty exhaustive, but I imagine super fulfilling when you're one of the minds behind the creation of something like Diablo or Halo, or something that's immediately recognizable across almost all media. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially to have your name in that.
Yeah, exactly. Last one we're going to talk about, and then we'll get to our closing summary, is FMX 2021. This is a okay, conference on animation, effects, games, and immersive media. It is an event held by, all right, Film Academy's Animation Institute. Yep.
Nailed it.
Es ist Deutsch. It takes place at the exclusive Haus der Wirtschaft in Stuttgart. Yeah, I'm not gonna cap. I have no idea. Anyways, you heard it. It's on effects and immersive media, so I can safely imagine that there's going to be a lot on VR in there. How to create VR effects, the way that you're looking to put together animations for specific games. But these are media creators, so they're going to be sharing the insights of their latest creative developments, cutting edge tools and pipelines. If you're familiar with, like, sales and getting stuff done, any kind of business, form, or fashion has a general pipeline set up to ensure efficiency, so that no one person gets overloaded, but also that you continuously set up things to be worked on and to be done, so that the company is constantly working, constantly moving forward. That's super important. How to set that up is probably just good advice for anybody trying to be a self-sufficient model, anybody trying to have their own business. But this is more workshops, master classes, company suites, and then just diving deep into the learnings of international companies. So you're going to see how people are doing this around the world, and how the different regions are going to affect the different types of things that are popular, because maybe one genre isn't that popular in Germany, but it's super popular in Japan. Um, so yeah, either way, it's an international, but they're trying to offer an intimate atmosphere. This is out here for professionals and students. It's a great platform to mingle, to network, to share insights, right?
That's what I was about to say. It'd be a great networking
Yeah, no,
ability,
no, no.
opportunity.
LA Games Conference and FMX are definitely for the networking. So, in conclusion, guys, like I said, you might not have known this, but there are really two easily identifiable and completely distinct on their own kind of classifications for games conferences. We're talking about the consumers on one side, who's just you and I playing a game, and hey man, this game that we played a couple years ago, they're releasing number two. That's cool. I'm gonna hang out with a bunch of other people who played the game, like Tyler. We're gonna have a great conversation and chill for a weekend. That's tight. But then there's a whole other side where they're going after the business, the technology, the engineering, the development, right? The marketing, branding, networking. And those are super important, you guys. If we didn't have these as outlets for your developers, it's quite possible that some of your favorite indie games or indie games companies that were picked up and added to a conglomerate company never would have seen the light of day. It's very easy to see that being a thing, especially in the age of information where everything just gets lost. So if you guys like this, if you like these kind of videos, if you like learning a little bit, not too much, but just a quick little dive into a subject or event in this case, dude, give us a subscribe. Let us know. Hit us in the comments. Tell me what did work. Tell me what didn't work. Um, as always, my name's Tyler, aka Aken, and that's it from me.
Again, just let us know what y'all want to hear or what y'all want to hear from us. Don't be scared to leave a comment. I'm Tyler, aka Turbo, and we're out.
Have a good night, y'all.